Hi there, welcome to Polyphonic Tarot. Today we're going to be doing a Celtic Cross for Sami. I haven't read for you since the summer or so it's great to get to read for you again. Thank you again for your purchase. And we're going to dive right in. So in your email you talked about that the fact that a couple of things have changed for you since your last reading with me, that some developments have happened. Your question was a little vague, to be honest, but we're going to ask generally, basically, what's going on, career and spiritually, or hopefully this will kind of condense those two ideas for us as best as possible and give us a general overview of what's going on and where you're headed. So I've already pulled out your significator, which is the Prince of Discs still, and we're going to go ahead and lay these out. So as you can see, the bottom card of your reading is the Princess of Cups, which is a good start. So we'll see what she exactly has to do with anything. Overall situation is the Ace of Cups crossed by the Four of Swords. Okay, crowning you is the Ten of Cups, and grounding you is the Six of Cups. A lot of water so far. In the past, Ten of Wands, and in the future, the Two of Discs. And then up the side, you have, for your perspective, the Tower, environment adjustment, hopes and fears, Knight of Discs, and overall outcome is the Devil. So, okay. So, as I said, to begin, you have a lot of water in the center of your reading. So there's this big column of it running right through the middle of this. And I want to say that's significant. But let's just go through and talk about each thing. So the overall situation is the Ace of Cups crossed by the Four of Swords. I'm getting the feeling that there's something that makes you really happy right now. There's something that you found that you've found a lot of enjoyment in, and you take a lot of pleasure in doing it. And this pleasure that you get from doing this, and I believe is perhaps a spiritual work, because I know we've talked about this before, but I'm going to guess there. It doesn't actually say what it is that makes you happy in this case, but it does seem like it's something kind of new and sort of fresh. Now, the problem, the Four of Swords is a little odd to me, and it seems that Four of Swords crossing, just an odd card to have there. It's connected strongly to adjustment in the environment, both being Libra. And so there's I think you could read it either way. I mean, you could read it either as this pursuit that makes you happy is still not quite lining up with your everyday life, or it's working out well. Actually, you could read it like that also, actually, that there's balance between those two aspects of your life, balance between career and whatever it is, spirituality or whatever it is that it's talking about here that you've found that you really enjoy. In the past, it seems that you didn't have as much opportunity to allow these things to have equal weight in your life. You have the Ten of Wands in the past. So in the past, this situation was one that was very limited. You didn't have a whole lot of options, and either you were too busy with work or other things where you didn't have the time or something to focus on this other thing. And it seems that now you are trying to incorporate it more into your life and have it be more balanced with everything else that's going on for you. Now, how you see yourself is interesting. You see yourself as the Tower. And there isn't a whole lot of fire going on here in this In this reading, actually, the only other fire card that you have, besides the Tower, is the Ten of Wands. So those two thoughts are connected for me as well. There is also some echo of Mars throughout your reading, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But I think that the Tower, it seems to me that this development that or whatever development has happened, because again, I'm not entirely sure what exactly has happened to you because you didn't say, but whatever has happened to you has come as sort of a shock to you, and I don't know that it's necessarily a bad type of shock. I think it's a little disorienting because the Tower usually is, but we always tend to look at the Tower as something that is sort of like a dose of truth that hurts at first, but ultimately leads us to something better or something that makes more sense for ourselves. So this is almost like a bolt of realization, this experience for you, that whatever you were doing in the past that kept you very locked down and very confined and unable to explore other things and other avenues, I think you're realizing that approach is not really what you want to do with your life, even though you perhaps believed that it was what you wanted to do. You know, the Tower always comes to us also as like a shaking of our faith or a shaking of something that we believe is a core value or a core belief, something that we think we know inside and out, that we really trust it, we really believe in it. You know, and it doesn't even have to be right, obviously, because the Tower is there to tell us that whatever it is that we think is accurate is not. You know, it's sort of reality crashing down on us to prove to us that whatever that conviction is, it wasn't right, you know, for whatever reason. So in this case, I see that is connected to your Ten of Wands. So I think you're just realizing that that kind of work, that kind of intensity of work, or that kind of that amount of responsibility, or whatever it is that was so confining about your previous situation, I think you've really realized that that isn't the way for you to go, and that isn't something that you really enjoy. And I think right now you are really focusing on trying to cultivate this this happiness that you've found, you know, because you've found something that does make you really happy. The root of your situation is the Six of Cups. And the Six of Cups is all about very honest and very pure happiness. It's not contaminated by any real conditions. It's sort of natural and is it's just it almost like it almost feels good to do whatever it is you're doing. You know, the Six of Cups does have kind of a sexual connotation, and the way we kind of extend this to situations that aren't necessarily sexual is just, you know, you enjoy doing this so much, it just feels so good to be doing what you're doing spiritually, that, you know, it just feels very natural to you, and it's that sort of happiness is just kind of coming into your life, and it's giving you a kind of fresh perspective, I think, between the Princess of Cups and the Tower, actually. While the Tower is kind of harsh a little bit sometimes, I don't think it's that harsh in this reading, though it can be. The Princess of Cups is just such a youthful figure, and I think that I'm seeing you in this situation as having a kind of young outlook on this, and not necessarily in a bad way, and just having a fresh outlook, and almost feeling like this is kind of like a pushing a reset button or something for you, so that you can continue to grow in the path that you want to grow in. Princess of Cups too also, you know, does have connotations of helping people, and so that might have something to do with it as well. That you are in a situation where you are trying to help people more, or yeah, I mean, could definitely see it as that you actually have quite a number of princesses on the bottom of your deck, which is interesting to me. You have all of the princesses except the Princess of Swords on the bottom. You can see them here. You've got the wands, discs, and cups on the very bottom. And in between them is the star and the Three of Wands. So not to kind of add too much more to the stuff that we already have here, but it is worth noting that you are kind of surrounded right now by very young energy, and also a kind of fertility, actually. And I don't mean literal fertility, but there's a kind of fertility, a sense of fertility that comes with spiritual work, I find. It is sort of like a flowering of yourself. It's a fertility of self-expression, and a fertility in the sense that you're willing to put your energy out more into the world and do more things with your unique energy, and that comes in the form of helping people, really, or just interacting with people. It's by doing things and acting on things that we make change, and making change in the world is sort of like cultivating the world, is sort of like being a source of fertility for the world. So I think that's what we're getting at here. So you do have this that sense about you. The star and the Three of Wands on the bottom of your deck are also really auspicious for just saying that there are a lot of really good opportunities surrounding you right now, and there's a lot of hopefulness surrounding you in this situation, that there are a lot of things that you're excited about and excited to do and eager to do and try, and that these are good things for you to be excited about. And the star does give them a slightly spiritual import, could say that for sure. But anywho, your crowning card I find very interesting is the Ten of Cups, because the Ten of Cups, sorry, my allergies today. The Ten of Cups is well, it's not. It doesn't really. Oh boy, the Ten of Cups with the Ten. It does resonate with the Ten of Wands a little bit, both being tens. But otherwise, it's very in line with all the other water cards that you already have. And it is connected to the Tower, actually. Mars and Mars. Oh boy, I might want to come back to that, actually. Because I can't, I'm not sure exactly what that's getting at. In the immediate future, you have the Two of Discs, which I think is getting back to that idea of these two aspects of your life being in balance. I think as you move forward, they're going to continue to rotate in and out and mostly fluctuate pretty in a way that's balanced. It's not going to be too much of one or too much of another, where, as you had in the past. I think that as you continue this mindset of keeping the two in balance, which I want to say is what adjustment is getting at here in your exterior, sort of what it is you are putting out into the world. And I think that you are just trying to remain pretty fair about the way that you manage the things around you right now. I think you're trying to manage both, or just balance both aspects of your life pretty well. Now, the other aspect of this too, we could also say that there is something big going on in your life, because you do. I mean, the Tower and adjustment would is sort of saying to me that you, I don't know, possibly have something that you need to consider, a decision that you need to make that perhaps has come as a shock. That could be another part of this. This reading is awfully vague. I'm not going to lie to you. It's not particularly focused on anything, which unfortunately. But I don't know. Your hopes and fears are the Knight of Discs. The Knight of Discs. I think you. Oh boy. So I don't have a whole lot of Earth here. I think the Knight of Discs is just all about wanting to do very practical work, and so I want to say that your mindset anyway, your what you are hoping for, and perhaps also fearing on one hand. I mean, it's that position in this spread is always sort of both at the same time, which is kind of odd. But I think on one hand, as a Taurus, you really want to make sure that whatever it is you're doing has a tangible result and is just real. You know, you don't want your spirituality to just remain in the abstract. You know, in the world of meditation and personal growth and all that. You know, you want it to have an impact and have a real result on things. At the same time, the Knight of Discs, I want to say, is also telling me that you are afraid of getting stuck in any kind of mundane, boring activity. That that while you value practicality and value tangible results, you also perhaps are afraid of the limitation that is involved in that as well, because that kind of work can become a lot like your previous experience with your career and that's that aspects of your life. Excuse me, that aspect of your life's relationship to your spirituality, which is represented again by the Ten of Wands. You know, just not really having enough time to do what it is that you find pleasure in. So you are wary of that. And if you are in the process of making some kind of choice, either about, you know, leaving your job or starting something new or doing something new, you know, that is definitely a concern that you have, that you are considering. Okay. Your advice, to get back to that, your Ten of Cups. Ten of Cups. The Ten of Cups, as I've talked about in my videos, the Ten of Cups is sort of like getting the fullness of something, the full satisfaction out of something, but subsequently realizing that it isn't the only thing that you need to be happy. And I want to say that the Ten of Cups is there to tell us that while whatever this is that you've been doing does make you happy, and that's a good thing, I think the best thing you can do, though, is to, I don't know, not necessarily place all your eggs in that basket, is the phrase that's coming to me for whatever reason. Just to understand that there is, in fact, more to life than just that. And if this is in regards to spiritual pursuits, you know, spiritual pursuits are wonderful and are important, I think. But it is ultimately not the only thing in life that that we need to focus on or find happiness from. And I just think that this is trying to tell you that, you know, there are work-related things that are available to you and opportunities that are available to you that could also give you happiness, you know. So I hope that you aren't considering abandoning anything like that, and abandoning any career aspirations you may have because you think that you've discovered something that's more important or more suited for you, because actually your overall outcome is the devil, and it says that, you know, in the long run, you're going to do whatever it is that you want to do yourself. I mean, you're kind of just going to do your own thing. The devil is all about independence for me, and sort of not giving a hoot about what anyone else says or tells you to do. It's really about following your own course as much as you want. But the devil does also have to do with really practical stuff and career ambition. And it is connected to the Knight of Discs and the Two of Discs here for us today. So in the long run, the way this situation is developing for now, the overall outcome is one of you still needing to have career ambitions and still needing to have worldly ambition. You know, you're not going to ever escape that because, you know, you are alive and need to survive like everyone else. So practical concerns are not ever going to really leave you. And so I think it's important for you to continue to try to expand upon the balance that you've found, I think is what this reading is getting at, because I don't think it's necessarily saying anything bad, nor do I think it's really warning you about anything, or I don't think it's really all that negative. I just think it's saying that, you know, maintaining that balance as much as possible between your spiritual life and your real life, your career, your day-to-day stuff is important, and that you can find happiness in a lot of different things, whether they are spiritual or not. And that ultimately you are going to have to, provided that this continues along in the same direction that it is currently heading in, provided that you don't make any real drastic changes. The overall outcome as the devil does indicate that you will have to remain focused on practical things, and that these are things that you are going to be kind of stuck with just out of necessity. It could also represent some developing ambition, which isn't a bad thing either. Now, the interesting thing that I might want to think about here is that the devil is also connected to the tower. And the tower, just because they are both connected to Mars. And that's also in turn connected to the Ten of Cups. Yeah, those three ideas are connected actually through Mars. And of course Mars is a planet of a lot of energy and is a really feisty planet, really energetic, associated with industry and just getting a lot of stuff done. It's also associated with aggression and war, obviously, but I don't think that that's really the relevant meaning here, because there isn't a whole lot of aggression. If anything, things are pretty chill for you right now with the Four of Swords crossing you. You know, there isn't a whole lot of chaos in your life, even though I think mentally or as far as your outlook, you know, there is a little chaos as far as you kind of shifting perspectives right now. But I think that this shift in perspective is going to allow you to turn into something that's more, I don't know, the devil is just all about pursuing your own course. Being the master of your own ship. For me, anyway. I mean, I know you could read other cards like that as well, but oh my god, that's so annoying. Sorry. Wow. Anywho, sorry, that's so distracting. But the devil for me is telling me that you are moving into a period of just independence and really kind of sticking to your own thought processes, I guess, is the best way of putting it, and just sticking to your guns and doing what it is that you know that you need to do. The devil is associated with an eye, of course, and if we look on the card, he's got that third eye. And we're told in the Book of Thoth that this has to do with the fact that he is only capable of pursuing his own true will, and that, that's the only thing that he can do. That's the only perspective that he has. He doesn't have anyone else's... oh, God. Excuse me. He doesn't have anyone else's perspective or goals. He only has his own goals and his own drive and his own ambition. Anywho, to conclude, I think that the devil is just saying that what we were saying before, that ultimately, practical obligation is never going to escape you. But I do think that it's just saying that it is possible for you to also, while you are dealing with, mundane things and aspects of life, that it isn't going to be impossible for you to keep walking to the beat of your own drum and just pursuing your own spiritual pursuits on the side and living your life the way that you want to live it. The devil is also about control to an extent, and he's a lot like the Emperor, just more nitty gritty and down to earth, and literally, and yeah, he's a little more, he's more worldly, obviously. So honestly, that's about all I can get out of this. As I said before, this is kind of a vague reading, and perhaps partially because the question was a little vague, but that's okay. I think the overall message of this is just to continue to try to strive for a balance. Try to continue to understand all the different things that make you happy and bring you happiness, and try to understand that they aren't just spiritual, that they can also be more realistic and less abstract as well, and that you do still have a lot of work in front of you to do, and on the practical level. And that this is something that you're going to have to continue to deal with and embrace, and I think you'll be okay if you continue to do that. I think that's really all it is, as long as you are trying to avoid that situation, because the only thing in this reading that really I get a bad vibe from is the Ten of Wands in the past, and it seems that is sort of passing away for the most part, and is in the process of becoming more balanced between the two. And that's really all it is. And as the devil, I keep getting this sense of duality from the devil also, which is interesting, because you don't usually get that. But for this reading, I keep getting this vibe about duality from it, just looking at it with the way the card is split in two, really. Obviously, it is a giant phallus, but the way the card is split in two and does sort of represent duality, I think is relevant for this reading, particularly considering it's strongly linked to the Two of Discs, Jupiter in Capricorn, both those cards being Capricorn. I just think that the devil is saying that you're in a process of becoming better in control of both of those aspects of your life, and trying to remain independent in both of those spheres. Mostly, it's mostly connected to your career and your work, just because of the earthy connotation that is in that card, and with the Knight of Discs here, that connection too, and the Two of Discs. But I think you're going to have continue to have a little bit more say as to how much that dominates your life. And I think spiritually you're just going to continue to be your own person and follow your own path. And that's really about it. So I hope that this made sense. I really do. And I'm sorry if it wasn't quite as detailed as you may have wanted. but I did my best. This is about all I could get out of it. It's always tricky when it's tons of minor arcana, and not really a whole lot of clear concepts that are happening. But you know, at the same time, it still does make some sense. So again, let me know if you have any questions, if it made sense or not, and let me know. So thank you again for your reading, for your purchase of reading from me again. Always a pleasure getting to read for someone that I've already read for. It's always nice to do that, to kind of check in. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it's helpful, if anything. And I mean, I don't see anything bad to tell you about, so that's good. Obviously, we don't want anything bad. And I think it's good. You know, it's sort of a neutral reading. I think it's great that you've found something that makes you really happy. I think that's really positive, and I mean, there's not much more I can say about that besides what I've already said. So yeah. So I wish you the best of luck with everything, and I hope to get to read for you again sometime. Thank you very much, and take care. Bye-bye.